Hello, welcome to America First Texas. I am your host, Tyler Cambry. Today is May 18th, 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this out. Please share it as far and wide as you can. We need to reach more people. And send us a comment. Go ahead and slide in our DMs. We want to talk to you, want to hear what you got to say. Maybe we'll talk about it on the show. Also, check us out on our website, americafirst.texas.com. Check out all the things that we offer and send us a business inquiry, whether you're a general citizen or a business. Contact at americafirst.texas.com. Here are our social media handles. Go give us a follow, subscribe to our channels, interact with us. And give us a follow at Twitch. We got something cool coming up in the near future. We could use your support early. And if you like the show, go support the show on Rumble. Make this your dedicated area to watch this show. Rumble is our future-proof area to have this show always exist, depending on whether the companies get back in control or not, or we just keep a normal America, which we are aiming for. So that being said, haven't seen you guys in a week. I took a week off again. But I'm making moves over here on my side, getting things done, and trust me, it was well worth it. So, I don't know what exactly I can get into, but I have a milestone that I am hitting tomorrow, which is more of a checkpoint than a milestone. But I mean, checkpoints, milestones, wins, they're all the same thing. As long as progress is being made, that is all that really matters. And this progress is designed to help you and make your life better. Here in Texas specifically, but across the broad nation of this big old place we call the United States. And hopefully Texas leads the way to create a blueprint and a path of what the real America First agenda is supposed to be, which is this. This is what America First is supposed to be, and Texas is trying its hardest to lead that way and help people navigate back onto the train of thought that we were supposed to be on in the first place. So yeah, man, we are back. So what is America First Texas? Some of you might be new here. I know some of you know me and probably have been tuning in, and some others of you know me and decided to finally give the show a chance. Let's see what he's actually talking about. Is it politics? Is it drama? Is it negativity? Sometimes only when like bad current events happen, like when they try to kill Donald Trump again, things like that. We talk about, that those shows suck. And that doesn't help with, the longevity of anything that we do, but you have to address those for the time being and maintain our position and defend ourselves. And that is something that everybody needs to get involved in during those times. But that is not what this show is about. And we are beyond that now. We have outgrown it. And hopefully this kind of crap comes to an end. But what America First Texas is right now, we are several different departments. We are a media and marketing department, which I've got 12 plus years experience in. I've been doing this for, quite a while now. So naturally, I just took these skills and implemented it here because there's a tremendous amount of value. I've done a lot of B2B media, some B2B marketing, mostly B2C marketing. B2B marketing is still strong. The strategies are there. But we haven't gotten as many B2B marketing clients as we would because there's a huge divide between sales and marketing once you get bigger and deeper into B2B on the marketing side. And that is one of the areas that I would like to help correct, especially since there is a rise of multimedia companies. Everybody who buys a camera is a business owner. But we fortunately, or me personally, I've been in this business for a while, and I definitely in the advanced category. As you can tell, I've changed the optics of the show again. I will be playing around with these things as time goes on. During whatever vibes are going on with current events, I'll change the setup. I'll try to make things match. It'll be fun, and you'll see where my creativity comes in. But we will also be upgrading things in the near future. As we're about to get we're going to be pretty busy coming up. I'm going to have to find a way to nail this show down on a weekly basis so that you can watch it, because I'm going to have to keep you up to date, especially after I pass this milestone tomorrow. It is only going to make this snowball roll harder and faster, but it's going to be very well rounded. And I think it's just the amount of work is going to be a little overwhelming. So if you are interested in being a part of this movement, I could use some help early on to do very simple things just to take some things off of my plate while I can still handle all the heavy work until we generate enough revenue to compensate people for the work, aka hire you possibly. And we're definitely gonna be looking for full-time positions, but this is phase one of our campaign. We're still a fairly new company. So we got to generate revenue to be able to pay people. And that's just how starting a business goes. But we're getting there slowly but surely. We are a couple of weeks into our first campaign, and we're still hitting our checkpoints. So there's a lot more to America First Texas than just the media marketing side. We are also doing a relocation service. A lot of people across the country are moving to Texas because they're getting away from whatever state they're in, whether it's a state like California or New York, where the taxes are just insane and the government's just gotten out of control. A lot of people are fleeing those two areas, specifically Florida and Texas. That's where they're relocating. And Texas is still a major hotspot. I have the math on how many people are still moving here. I can't remember the number. I think the number was around 312 people per day are still moving here. Now that might be like Metroplex wide. That might be the state of Texas. That doesn't sound right though. 312 people moving to the state of Texas every day. I mean, that seems low to me, based on the numbers that it has been in the past when we were really exploding a couple of years back. But and maybe it was the DFW Metroplex at 300 people a day. That's probably realistic, but even that sounds low if I'm honest with you. I need to brush up on those statistics. Shouldn't have even brought it up. But hey, that's the research that I did just a couple of weeks ago. It was saying something along those lines. We'll find out the checks. But staffing is one of the things that we are trying to reintroduce. I think a lot of people kind of shied away from the staffing agencies. I know that they've helped me get a lot of jobs. One of the last employers that I worked for quite a over a decade ago now, they I started off with a staff agency. They helped me get the job and I was promoted basically on like a 9-month basis. So it was something I would have never really gotten into, but I was physically fit. It's something that I could do. And I had moved so many times by myself. I was physically capable of performing these type of duties and I just needed work so bad. It didn't really matter what I picked up, but it turned out to be, pretty interesting. I was literally getting promoted every 9 months, and I got to move to the beach because of it, because of another promotion. And man, I lived in Florida for a couple of years, and God, that was the time of my life. I want to go back. We might start in America First Florida. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, the point being is that I used a staffing service during that time, and I will admit it was during closer to a time of desperation. I was like, I will just take anything. 'Cause finding work was difficult. That was during the Obama era, and like I'd mentioned, I don't know if it was last show or the show before. There was some sort of shift that happened somewhere in that 2010 range. People like me just became way less popular than we were, and it was very difficult for me to at that point in time even to continue my college education. I moved to Florida to go finish college and I was getting denied after I had been approved, and I was being told some wild, wild things by the staff there in the administration area of the college on like how to get like really approved for loans and get more money. And I didn't really, I couldn't put two and two together back then because it was just I had no comprehension of what was actually going on. I was a 20-something-year-old guy trying to finish my college, my education up. I'd only got my 2-year education at that point, and I was just trying to finish my last 2 years on the beach. Why not? Right? You can work, get a job, and go live on the beach. And that's one thing I figured out about Florida in that Gulf Coast area, which is now the Gulf of America. That area, the affordability of living was actually really, really cheap. And the second time that I moved there and like I promoted, it was the same thing. But, I was in a state of desperation. I just needed something. And a staffing agency helped me get a job. In fact, they helped me get my first real job too. Um, like a real full-time job. So staffing agencies have actually helped me. I have visited them throughout time because I still test the waters. I have to keep my finger on the pulse of the labor market and what's actually being hired. So that way I can have a full understanding because I can't just start a staffing service and not know anything, right? Who you can't just turn on a camera and become a business owner. And that there's so much more to it, but this DIY culture is just claimed the minds of a lot of people to make them think they can do whatever they can do. However, I have done a ton of hiring. I've done some really tough hiring, and I still have my finger on the pulse of temp agencies. And I mean, talking about within 6 months, within 12 months, within 24 months. I constantly check these places out. I interview with them. I keep my finger on the pulse. Um, you would be very surprised at what the things that I have found. And I can tell you this much. Me trying to help other people get employed has been very difficult by using services that I recommend because something has happened to this country. So I think that the most of the people who are watching this, if you know me personally, me recommending you to a staffing service isn't really going to help you. You're probably in an okay place and you wouldn't be open to the idea. But I can tell you this, being a staffing service at America First Texas, we're going to be different than a regular staffing service. Most of these staffing services are also put, if you're a man, the moment they hear in your voice that you're not a woman, they're pushing warehouse on you. So apparently, these staffing companies just get a tremendous amount of warehouse opportunities. So that type of labor is very hard to find. There's a ton of turnover because nobody wants to do the work and they can typically only attract younger people. So we're going to go beyond just being a staffing service. We're going to be closer to being a headhunter. Now, while we're doing this relocation series that I've been telling you about, we're going to be making quite a few B2B connections and we're going to have opportunities for you for pretty decent salaries, I'm hoping, depending on if we end up finding some sort of niche that we're not really expecting to run into. But across our broad context of people that we're literally looking for, we shouldn't get niched into a corner. I hope that we're not. I hope we'll be able to want to be one of those few companies that can do a broad stroke. So if that is the case, we're going to have some pretty interesting opportunities. Um, and they're going to not be posted publicly. But if you become an America First Texan, which I think we're going to coin that phrase, if you join that crowd, you're going to have exclusive opportunities to interview with these people and to find out about good positions that are worth applying for and moving. Maybe you want to move to a different part of the Metroplex. Maybe you're literally moving here from another state and you need a good connection. You're somebody making over six figures already and you need to make that sort of transition and your company doesn't offer that in a different state. Then maybe you need a service like this. Now, obviously, we're phase one and we're going to be building those relationships right now. But I can tell you that the momentum that we already have and the strategy and plan that we already have, it is inevitable that these things are going to happen. So hopefully you're contacting me or us in this department at the right time. But right this second, obviously, we're in our first like phase one sales campaign. So right this second, no, I can't give you a six-figure salary. But within this next 6 month period, I bet you that is a different story. So, um, so media marketing, real estate, relocation, and staffing, B2B networking, that is the main gist of what we're doing. There's another area that we're breaking into as well that is more of a community thing for you to do, and that's going to be developing relationships with politicians. One of the things that we can't exactly let go of here at America First Texas is politics, but I think that it's important enough for the general public to stay involved in politics in a and just enough, you know what I mean? Because I know that actual politics, people are so sick of it because there's only so much you can put your heart and your mind into if you're just not totally invested or really have that much interest into. But men specifically, I think that you have to be involved in politics somehow, some way, whether you're just educating yourself. At this point in time, you can basically just go to Grok and just or whatever ChatGPT and just go ask yourself questions. What does this actually do? What does this actually mean? You don't even have to really get involved, but at least educate yourself. That way that we don't end up in a situation like we ended up, these past like 15, 16 years. We cannot afford to let that happen again. And that means that you have to somewhat stay in tune or stay involved, which is why I think it's very important for us to continue to do at least at minimum a weekly show or at like bare minimum a bi-weekly show, which we may end up doing as we get into this because I don't know how my schedule is going to turn out with this amount of work that I'm going to turn into. So this may turn into a bi-weekly show, but I hope not. I'm hoping to do this once a week, and we're aiming for about an hour-long episode. But anyway, one of the goals that I'm making is I'm going to try. I don't know if it's going to turn into an event exactly or what it is, but I'm basically going to be vetting local politicians in your counties and making sure that they align exactly with America First Texas, President Trump, the Make America Great Again movement, and that we're all circulating within this group. um and I'm going to help you meet some of these politicians, whether it's online or in person, and then you can ask them questions and they're going to ask you questions and test you a little bit so you can test them too. Because I think people need to understand who they're voting for, and it's very easy to get involved in politics if you just take 5 minutes at the most to even go meet somebody. So I have some interesting things lined up for that. Um, so like I said, it could turn out to be an event thing. We'll see. We'll go from there. But anyway, that is one of the other departments I plan on starting up. But we'll see how that turns out. That is on the lesser important areas at this current time because we are hitting this campaign hard, and that's just going to be an added bonus. Maybe it hits off right away. Actually, it probably could. I think all four of these departments are going to click all at the same time. Um, if I'm just being realistic, but I think that one's going to take more work, organizing and normalizing, I guess. So anyway, that being said, that is basically what the gist of America First Texas structurally is currently at this point in time. Obviously, there's more to it than that. But we are trying to follow President Trump's agenda and his dream as closely as possible. And as long as Texas can lead the way, hopefully other states follow suit and we can take America First back via Texas. And Texas is the greatest state in the country anyway. So who better to do it than Texas? So here is a beautiful video I created myself. This is my sales tool. This is my demo reel, but it is also a visual example of what America First Texas really is. That is not the right video. Here we go. Welcome to America First Texas. We are the Texas region of the America First movement. Based in DFW, serving Texans statewide, we are a network of proud, patriotic, values-driven citizens who prioritize faith, family, and freedom. As America became unaffordable, families across the nation began looking to Texas for opportunity. America First Texas opens its arms with a powerful America First ecosystem dedicated to building a foundation that helps transition and transform you, your family, and your local economy. Whether you do not live in Texas yet or you are already a resident of this great state, we are going to provide you with real area-specific statistics, visual community walkthroughs, local representative introductions, and America First Texas vetted and approved local businesses that align with your values. At America First Texas, we are doing the groundwork for you so you can confidently support local restaurants, connect with trusted dentists and doctors, explore schools and education options, transition into new career opportunities through our staffing services, and work with realtors and builders who want to help you establish your new home foundation. Follow along, subscribe, and share this with those close to you as we build the strongest America First ecosystem in Texas. Thanks for being here. So yeah, that is our beautiful demo reel. Now, most of that footage was shot by yours truly. Some of it, if you can't tell, is AI because we're manifesting, we're dreaming right now to what we're trying to get America First Texas to become. So whenever we get the actual footage of our events, we will replace that AI footage with these actual events. But for the time being, that's what we're working towards. And hopefully, we can upgrade our media production equipment at that time, or we can hire another media production company who is aligned with America First Texas. And we can hire you to film these things for us while we can go do the groundwork, the hard stuff. That is what this platform is technically designed for. It is not really just to promote and prop up myself or my company. It is a platform for you. If you are a Republican, a conservative, a Christian, a MAGA supporter, and America First Texan, if this is what you align with, we want to work with you. Um, so yeah, that is what it is. So, like I said, I have a checkpoint coming up tomorrow, and it involves real estate. And real estate is something that I would like to get into today. I think today's probably going to be a short episode. I'm only going to breeze through these things real quick, and just wanted to give a new proper introduction since we have revamped our show here a little bit, just to give you a brief re-understanding, maybe a little redundant, about what America First Texas is. But let's check out the real estate market. What is going on specifically here in Texas? Some of these stats that we're going to read off here, they're going to have maybe some nationwide stuff going on, but oh no, sorry, did not mean to do that. But for the most part, we're going to try to focus here on Texas as much as possible. So, how can I do this? Let's sit away over here. There we go. Now we can look at this together. So this is the current demand. Um, this is a let's start with demand. Demand's probably the best one to start with. Um, so how many people are buying houses right now? Home sales are down 2.2% compared to last year. So that's not a collapse, but it's definitely cooling. Now, before I get too deep into this, I'm gonna be straight up. It's like some of these are stats that I may or may not agree with, and as we go through them, I'll explain some things too. But this is just some brief research so we can look at it. The turnover rate is 21.3%. That just means only 20% of the or 21% of the homes in Texas they changed hands over the last year. Um, so sounds like a lot, but in a hot market, that number is actually a lot higher than that. So buyers are being picky. Um, Once a house actually sells, it sat on the market for an average of 82 days. That's almost 3 months. Um, 90 days is where you get into trouble. So the fact that they're on average, they're sitting 82 days is pretty weird. So there's hesitancy clearly still, and buyers are probably being picky, but I think there's more to it. I think that's probably accurate, but um I don't know. I think the heat is coming off the market a little bit. But I expect that to change because Jerome Powell's last day was last Friday. And that right now I would imagine that would create hesitancy, which I would bet money saying that's going to create hesitancy. But I think it's also going to inspire motivation. So let's move over to some pricing. This is what people care about the most. The median home price in Texas right now is $325,000. That's down 1% from last year. On average, sellers are having to cut their asking price by it's like right around $17,000 before it sells. So I thought that was interesting. Um, The sell to list ratio is 0.95. And that means the average house is selling for around 95% of the asking price. So in other words, 5% below what the seller originally wanted. And I've got a theory on this too, because of the things that I've been noticing people are doing. There is more, there's quite a bit of, are we, well, before I get into inventory, let's just focus on this. Well, I mean, it kind of ties into one another, but, um, people are so people are listing their prices and they're basically only selling at 95% of what they're listing. So they're coming down. In the recent past, you could list your home at a certain price. Whatever your list price was, you had so many buyers going for it that you would be in a bidding war. So things have turned right now. It's a buyer's market currently. Um so we'll see what happens with interest rates because that will open up inventory. And if there's a ton of inventory and we have lower rates, people are afraid that that's going to jack the prices up, but that's not necessarily true. That, like, I think in normal circumstances, that's a pretty fair statement to make. But in these circumstances and the future of the next 3 years or so, um, more inventory isn't necessarily going to increase prices even with lower rates. It's going to be different. And you have to think about this logically. So when you see people repeat that shit online, they're just repeating things that they read like a while back. Part of the problem of reading comments on social media is that you have a bunch of people who learn, like, they memorize things that they read and they told you about it like they knew all about it. But really, they have no experience in any of it. So they don't have their finger on the pulse or anything. But they've memorized it and they're still telling you about it. But it's different circumstances. They're not counting into effect the facts of what's going on. I think we're gonna see. I still believe we're gonna see a flood of inventory. Maybe I don't know about an absolute flood, but I think we're gonna see a good amount of increased inventory. Not only because the rates are gonna go down, but maybe they will. Maybe they won't. Jerome Powell's staying on board somehow. So it's too hard for me to predict. I don't know. I'm sure we'll drop it down at least 1%. Mortgage rates should come down 1%. But we need to look at the 10-year treasuries to kind of predict on that. So, bottom line, prices are finally coming down a little at least, and sellers are having to negotiate and accept less money than they hoped. So, that's good news if you're trying to buy. Um, see our supply here. So, how many houses are actually for sale? So, there are 134,400 active listings right now. And this was as of 2 weeks ago. So, that number isn't like right now today, but basically just within the past few weeks, there were 134,000 active listings. So, inventory did go up about 2.8% in the last month. So, we're sitting at 4.8 months of supply. Um, so if no new houses came on the market and buyers kept buying at the current price, it would take about 5 months to sell everything available, like all the inventory. So anything under 4 to 5 months is still considered a seller's market. Um, we're right on the edge, moving towards balance, but see that's how these things they bounce back and forth. So if it's a buyer's market, then we're selling underneath asking price, in my opinion. It doesn't, anybody can make this argument any way they want to. That's why nothing's ever an accurate answer, because everything's a yes and everything's a no. Everything's always a rigged answer anyway. Um, but yeah, anyway, so overall in Texas right now, demand is softening. Prices are coming down slightly, and supply is it's increasing. And I think it's going to continue to increase. Even if it comes down 1%, you're going to see gates open up, and with deportations, we're going to see whether they're self deportations or not, you're going to see inventory opening up. Um, so let's look at the Texas economic outlook. Um, so jobs and oil prices. I don't agree with this research personally, but we're going to go over it. They're saying potentially, I hate the way they phrase this too, potentially elevated indefinitely. So Texas is still outperforming like the rest of the country on job growth. And we're seeing strong hiring, like especially in like mining and logging. Mining's exploding. That's basically oil and gas. Um, but oil prices are surging thanks to, you know, to that major geopolitical problem overseas, specifically what they're calling Operation Evan Fury. But basically, they're blaming all of this on the Strait of Hormuz being unnavigable. That's one of the most critical choke points. So there's analysts are trying to say that oil prices could stay elevated indefinitely. That's huge for Texas. But higher oil is more drilling, more jobs, more money flowing to the economy. So yeah, there's an economic benefit, but that's not what President Trump is telling you. So market analysis can say one thing, but the president telling you that he has a different plan and he's navigating these things. Most presidents, I wouldn't say that would have this type of a grip on things to where you can leverage and maneuver and navigate and control. But President Trump has more of that than any other president has, in my perspective and experience. So what he's telling you is what he's pushing for. Um, Now we know OPEC and all that's, I mean, it's all rigged too. So we'll see how well they fight him. But I don't think, I believe when he says they're going to come down in price, I believe it. I don't see how this is sustainable. And I know President Trump, he doesn't want us to pay this. You know what I mean? So I trust him. I know it's going to come down. He's been telling you it's temporary. So I don't trust this at all. But this is what the experts are telling you. And that's because they're not listening to President Trump. They think they can control us, which gives them leverage over him in their minds. So, but the analysts are saying the oil prices could stay elevated indefinitely, but I shouldn't even read that to you because I don't believe that at all. I hate the way they phrase that. Excuse me. However, the bottom line is, Texas energy strength is carrying the state right now. So, let's look at the Texas employment forecast. So looking ahead, the forecast for Texas job growth is 1.9 to 1.8% for the year. That's solid. It's still beating the national average. And with oil staying high, we could easily hit or beat that number. So Texas continues to be one of the strongest state economies in the country. So here's one of the interesting things we should look at. This is the 10-year Treasury and how it affects the mortgage. Let's connect the dots here, shall we? The 10-year Treasury yield is it's the benchmark. It's a big benchmark that affect mortgage rates, or that mortgage rates follow. Think of it like this: when investors buy 10-year Treasury bonds, they're lending money to the U.S. government for a decade, right? For 10 years. The yield, which is the interest rate, the yield on those bonds, it moves based on inflation, fears, Fed policy, economic outlook. But mortgage lenders watch that 10-year yield closely because home loans are also long-term debt. They're usually 15-year terms or 30-year terms. And if the 10-year yield, if it goes up, mortgage rates usually go up shortly after. So if it goes down, mortgage tends to follow. So that's, if you want to really keep track of the mortgage rates, that 10-year Treasury is the better thing to follow. So I hope that makes sense. And if you want to just research this on your own as this time goes on, you'll be able to keep up with it. But this is really the key. So, does the Fed interest rate have something to do with it? Yes, because the federal government or the Federal Reserve is borrowing money off of the money that they're printing. So that rate that they're borrowing against affects everything. Um, and if those rates come down, it drags everything down with it. Now, there's other circumstances where that could not be the case. You can always make that example. But for the most part, generally speaking, yes, it's going to eventually play out. Whether it's in tune at the same time or not, it is eventually going to play out. But those 10-year treasury bonds, that's that watching that increase and decrease is where you can pretty much predict where mortgage rates are actually going to go. But changing hands, um, getting the swamp creatures out is going to help our negotiations. Um, and normally, as high as prices have gotten, you wouldn't normally want to lower the rates because then your prices will go up. But this isn't a normal circumstance. We're going to keep getting inventory, which is going to drag prices down, and we're going to have lower rates, which is going to make things more affordable. Now, nobody wants to lose equity on their house, but prices are so damn high. We'll see what happens. It's hard to predict what's going to happen. I have my ideas, but I'm not going to say it because I hope that I'm wrong. I absolutely hope that I'm wrong. But if I'm not, probably should make some sort of move here soon, which I'm already thinking about it anyway. But you know, I'll keep you up to date. We'll talk about this like often. Real estate's gonna be something I'm covering a lot on the show, at minimum once a month. Um, so yeah, that's what that's about. Just keep up with that. You want to know what's going on mortgage rates? Just go Google this. What's the 10-year treasury rate right now? What was it last month? What's it going to be next month? If they'll even, if you can predict anything. Kind of like the stock market. You watch the wave, you watch the roller coaster. You can kind of get an idea of where it's going. Kind of. But yeah, you just find out what it is. So it's just fun. It's always fun to predict. But this yield raising from 4.3 to 4.3 to 4.4% in April. That small increase puts upward pressure on mortgage rates. So, and they did. They raised, Jerome Powell raised rates right before he went out, and there was no need to do it. He's just a jerk. And that prick is no longer in that seat. So we will see what Kevin Warsh does. So, current mortgage rates, where are the rates today? Rates are, as of 2 weeks ago, said 6.3%, but the last time I checked, it said 6.37. So need to go check again. Maybe they came back down. And this says, or was it 6.38? I think it was 37. But even with that small clip, like rates are still like well above pre-pandemic levels. Um, financing conditions remain tight, and higher treasury yields mean we're not going to see big drops in mortgage rates anytime soon. Don't agree with that. I just don't agree that we will see. But yeah, that's a general understanding of what you're looking into. Um, yeah, thought I did this too early. This is the big news. This Friday, Kevin Warsh is confirmed as the 17th chairman of the Federal Reserve. We will see what he is able to do. Jerome Powell was Trump's last pick, but he was at the recommendation of somebody. He shouldn't follow his advice. But I think for that time being, it was what it was, and at least it wasn't a Democrat. And that was probably the most important part. But Jerome Powell really didn't. He was a rhino, and he basically showed you that he's a Democrat too. That uniparty shit has got to get out of there. I don't know why this is so small. I thought I expanded it. Boom. It's taking up my whole face. Kevin Warsh will be sworn in on Friday as the new Federal Reserve chairman during a White House ceremony hosted by President Trump, officially replacing Jerome Powell after his term expired. Warsh takes over following last week's Senate confirmation vote, which passed mostly along. Forgot exactly how many votes that he won that by, but wasn't a ton, but he got confirmed, and that is all that matters. So we're gonna watch one last clip real quick before we move on from the subject. And I love this one. Just watching the difference between the two. Just remember this. Like President Trump gave Jerome Powell this job. This is like a huge position. I don't care what you say. President Trump gave Jerome Powell this job. Does this look like somebody that appreciates the president? Like, thanks, President. Thank you, President Trump. No. Oh, no. I thought I fixed this. Man, I got some work to this. Yeah, here we go.
Billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2.
This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added.
Our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building,
Well,
including
no,
the
but
Martin building.
it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's
So,
not new.
So we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use, but no, we don't. We expect to be finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these off every once in a while when we're not in.
Yeah. That guy sucks. See how nervous he was? His hands were shaking. That dude's an emotional wreck. And that's why he's staying on the board. He is not letting go of his position. Because that dude's in deep shit. At least, like, thank God he's leveraged. Like, I think what are the Federal Reserve Chair terms? Are they 6 years or 8 years? Because I think it was 2018 when President Trump got Jerome Powell in there. In fact, let's look that up real quick. How long was that? When did Jeremy become Fed chair? I don't remember. I think it was 2018, wasn't it? Wasn't it like, yeah, February 5th, 2018. I thought so. So it's been, so he was nominated by President Trump in late in 2017. Dude, we covered this. Isn't this like the second time or third time? From like, when did this happen? I cover too many things. I forget what goes in circulation in my brain sometimes. But yeah, he was confirmed by the Senate in January 2018. And he had an 84-13 vote. An 84-13 confirmation. So President Trump was trying to do the right thing. He was trying to get a guy in the middle. So I don't like, it sucks that he did what he did, but part of President Trump's plan is to expose who these people are. And that dude's exposed. And he's going down. So I would imagine at some point when this dude gets in trouble and we get back into this, this back and forth political battle between the left and the right, I'm going to guess that the Democrats are going to maneuver to somehow, well, Trump picked this guy. So it just shows that Trump is corrupt. You can always bank on that. You know what I mean? But President Trump picked this guy because he was, I think, to expose him. But, I think he just also got bad advice, but he knew he wasn't MAGA, like full, obviously you can tell, but I don't think he knew he was this bad. He didn't know he could be like, why would somebody brand new this fresh during President Trump's administration? Like, how could he be leveraged this bad and turn away from somebody who gave him the job like so hard? Uh, like what was Kevin Warsh's confirmation? Didn't he just win by like 10 to 8 votes? What was Kevin? This is what you all should do, by the way. Just research. What was Kevin Warsh's Senate vote? I think it was only like by 10 or 8 votes. Jerome Powell was 84 to 13. Okay, it was 9. He won by 9 votes. Kevin Warsh was confirmed by the US Senate as the next Federal Reserve Chair on May 13th. That was just 5 days ago in a 54 to 45 vote. And one person didn't vote. So that's a no. That's is that a 12 point margin? Or no, 8. That's 8. Yeah. 8 point victory. You can say 9, but not voting. That's crazy. President Trump put a Republican in, Jerome Powell. He got an 84 to 13 vote by the Senate, not the House, by the Senate. 84 to 13. Kevin Warsh got 54 to 45, 54 to 46, whatever you want to say. That right there already tells you this is a lot better. So he got 30 something less votes than Jerome Powell got. We're closer to over to the target. Kevin Warsh is going to be better than Jerome Powell. So 84 to 13. That's crazy. I didn't remember it was that wide. I thought maybe you got, 2/3 or something. I didn't realize it was that much. Almost, dude, almost 85% or something. Yeah. So they knew who that guy was. And we got to see, and we all suffered for it. So that's over. That is over. He's staying on the board. He does not want to go to prison, which I don't see how he doesn't. We will see how that turns out. But good times ahead. That's all I can say. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. I wanted to keep it short. What are we, 47 minutes in? Yeah. I want to keep it short. I haven't seen y'all in a week. And wish me luck tomorrow. I have a big checkpoint coming up, and I've got, a really big sales campaign. I'm following up on that. After this checkpoint tomorrow, I've got one more milestone to hit, which is all tied in together. It shouldn't be hard. I'm just narrowing down my options, and my checkpoint tomorrow helps me advance my sales campaign into a whole new territory. And I'm super excited about it. So if you're still here and you're interested, reach out to me, hit me up, stay connected, just interact with me when things come up. I will try my hardest to make your life better. And yeah, I guess that is it, guys. Thanks for watching. That's it. It is May 18th, 2026. I'm going to miss you guys. I'm not going to see you for 7 more days. I don't know what to do. But see y'all next week. Take it easy. Give it a watch.